That was a wonderful little countdown. Hello, friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I need to quiet down my music as well. Hi, friends. Welcome to your weekly edition of a Kiro live stream. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Darko, and I'm here to chat with you to do some fun stuff with Kiro. It's been a long time since I was on this live stream. I think it's been actually quite a couple of months even right now. I think the last time I was here, I had some guests on, and when we were doing some cool stuff regarding, I can't even remember. It was so long ago. So, but I'm here right now, and we're going to be doing some fun things with Kiro, and I actually want to go ahead and explore a little bit on the new types of specs. So, as of recent, we've launched a new types of specs. So I do want to go and explore that and show them to you a little bit, how they work, what's the point, and how do you actually get to use them. Before we get into it, I do want to say hello to chat. How are you doing, chat? I hope you're doing fine. Folks in the chat, please feel free to shout out where you're joining me from. Are you building something in Kiro? If you are you using spec-driven development, or are you just vibing yourself through it? So, also CLI or IDE, that's a big question as well for me. I am myself a very big CLI person, but for anything that happens to be big and important and something I need a little bit more control over, I head over to specs on the IDE. So, but that's just me. That's just me not enjoying the VS Code part of it. So because Vim. So as we slowly get into it, I guess let's dive into some code. I'm gonna bring up my screen, and I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna be doing today. So, screen on here. Look at that, beautiful. So, we're gonna be looking at a couple of specs. Namely, we're gonna be looking at Bugfix specs and a new version of a feature spec that's called the design first workflow. Hey, Daniel, welcome. Hello from Minnesota. Shout outs to Minnesota, of course. So we're going to be looking at a couple of different specs, namely the Bugfix spec, and of course, there's a design first workflow. So these are new specs that are introduced as of a couple of updates ago, and they enable you developers to have a little bit more control over what you're doing with specs. Right? In the past, anything we would do in Kiro would be either vibe coded or through a spec. In essence, what we would be doing is you just tell us to implement a new feature no matter what you're doing. But sometimes we're not implementing features. Sometimes we're fixing bugs. So I want to talk about bug fixes. Yes, Daniel, it is in my Twitch channel. No, this is the Kiro Twitch channel. So I do, shout outs to Kiro, right? I love working with Kiro. So I do sometimes stuff on this channel. I see Jano Bernard from Cape Town. Shout outs to South Africa. Hey. Active user Kiro CLI. Hey. Just to my South African friends, just so you know, I was taught by South Africans how to make biltong. So I do have a biltong set up at home to make biltong from time to time. I don't want to say it's the best, but it's decent, I guess. Okay, so we're going to dive into these new specs. And first, we're going to do something called a bug fix spec. And I'm going to show you. I think it makes sense for me to just show it to you. So first of all, I have an application here. And this application is, actually, it's an MCP server, right? It's something I built in the past, but it's an MCP server that I use to track coding patterns, right? It's a thing that I say like, for example, let me try to show it to you first. I'm going to open something. Let's say I have TUI. I have a little thing here. So here it's a small little application. It's a TUI-based application. It doesn't really matter what the application is, but I'm going to look at something here. For example, something really cool. Let me find something. Okay, drawing the status bar. So this is a little cool feature or an implementation of how you draw a status bar and Ratatouille. It doesn't matter, right? That's not the point. The point here is I go into like this, so CD TUI, and I go into open up Kiro, and I'll tell Kiro that there is a thing in my code that I want you to take a note of. So I'm going to say, let's say what I'm going to say. There is the draw status function here is a very interesting coding pattern. Please save that pattern to my library. So I like to, besides just coding with Kiro, I like to learn with Kiro. So as I do stuff, as I explore, as I code, I tell I have a little MCP server that basically stores specific patterns I find useful. So now saving to your pattern library. So it's gonna call an MCP server that's gonna save this specific snippet with a bunch of details inside of the pattern library, and I'll show you the pattern library in a second. It's something that I built and I find it very useful. However, there is a bug in it. So, for example, this is a bug. I'm there. I actually didn't expect this to be a bug, which is fantastic. Excellent. I love where this is going. So it's gonna try again. It's gonna be fine. But we found the bug. I know there was a different bug. So but love it. Okay, I'm gonna close this down, and I'm gonna show you what happened here. So if I go to patterns, close this. There is a pattern that we just created right now, ratatouille status bar, and it basically creates a file like this, right? It's a little pattern for rendering context-sensitive things. It just kind of like picks up the context that I had. David, please store this as a pattern file. We may use it somewhere in the future, right? I just love it. It's a great thing. But as you've seen, there is a bug. And by the way, friends, I wasn't expecting that bug, so that's good. So I want to use a Bugfix spec to fix that bug. So hear me out. We open up chat, and I say, I have a bug in this MCP server. Here is what I get when I go and try to save a pattern. And I'm going to pop it in. Boom. Boom. There you go. We just dropped in the bug, right? Well, the bug error. And I'm just going to tell it ship it. So what's great about this new cool thing is it's going to recognize that I'm sounds like you're having a validation bug. It sounds like Clippy. And it's going to actually recommend to me to fix a bug. So instead of go ahead and build a feature, you can absolutely tell it to build a feature, but I'm going to tell it to fix a bug. So submitting an answer. And let's see what's going to happen. So it's going to go ahead and start creating stuff. So, and as we go through this, you're going to see a little bit of how this looks different compared to your typical specs, because the design doc is gonna well, is it called a design doc? It's called a Bugfix doc or something like that. So let's give it a second. So it includes all of these things, look at stuff, my context, analyzes the code. It actually found the error in my code, which is just excellent. But it's more than that. It's just more than it's finding an error in my code. It's going to go ahead and actually create a couple of things. It's going to try to determine that the code actually exists, the bug actually exists. It's going to verify what the fix is, but it's also going to ensure that no regression happens. So we should be able to see a file here in a second. That's there, Bugfix MD. So we're going to look at that. I know this is terribly zoomed in. I think this is going to be fine, right? It's going to be fine. Okay. Look at that. The validate pattern function in source pattern rejects pattern names containing spaces. Returning the error pattern name can only contain alphanumeric, dash and underscore characters. Pattern names naturally contain. I think this is a bug, right? It's something that I don't want. No, I do not want names to contain spaces. That's 100% agreed. But I also want it to fix itself instead of just like relying on an LLM to not do that. So functions uses that. So the current behavior. Here it is. This is the defect. This is how a bug fix is different. It defines what a defect is. When a user calls create pattern with a pattern name containing spaces, e.g. error handler pattern, then the system returns MCP error invalid params, right? And that's how I built my application. That is okay. However, the bug here is an LLM can return a file name with spaces, right? I can't really control what an LLM returns. So expected behavior. When a user calls create pattern with a pattern name contains spaces, then the system shall accept the name and create a pattern used successfully. When a user generate, this is it. Generate a sanitized file name replacing spaces with dashes. This is what I want, right? So I'm gonna tell it to slightly modify it. So behavior 2.1 is not what I want. I only want it to sanitize the output, as I do not want spaces in my file names, right? So I told it to make changes to this. This is a thing, just it's not always a one-shot thing. Correct. Yes, that's fine. Right. I can have it in the display names, but not inside of the file names, because no spaces in file names, please. So it's now going to go ahead and fix this bug spec. Now, that's kind of the best practice here when it comes to Kiro. You could change the bug fix yourself here, the document, but it's just better to tell Kiro to do it for you, because it's going to be faster and it's going to make these changes, right? Okay, so what is the behavior right now? When a user call creates pattern, then the system shall accept the name, preserve it as the display name in the YAML front matter pattern field, and generate the sanitized file name by replacing spaces with dashes. Excellent. Okay, the third part of bug fix specs is the unchanged behavior. This is a big important element of this, because, my friends, when you go ahead and try to fix bugs, how many times, you can tell me, we're friends, how many times when you go and fix a bug, either by yourself or with a coding assistant, you introduce new bugs? How many times do you create regression, as they say? Yeah, I know. So the whole unchanged behavior or regression prevention is basically setting up a couple of requirements that are going to prevent or potentially prevent regression. So, for example, when a user calls create pattern with pattern name containing only alphanumeric characters, dashes, and underscores, then the system shall continue to accept, right? Like, we won't break that. Empty pattern name, then the system shall continue to reject. We won't be taking empty pattern names no matter what. All kinds of things. So there you go. So these are kind of like the unchanged behavior that Kiro instills into this whole thing. So I'm good to go. Let's move on to the design. So now it's going to go ahead and design these things, right? So yeah. Ernest says, how many agent hooks can we have? Can they run in parallel or sequentially? Can we force agent hooks to run in predictable sequential manner? Is there a limit to the... I don't know exactly the number of limits to agent hooks. I don't think there's like a limit of them, right? So agent hooks here, you can create them like for certain things. As far as I know, they all run sequentially. They're not parallel. They all should be running sequentially, and I don't know if there's a way to order those things, right? Agent hooks are triggered by a certain action, right? So like if I go ahead and create a hook, and basically when certain events occur, right? It can be a mal trigger or something like that. There's some stuff you could potentially do it, but there's no like hard way of defining these things, just so you know. You could potentially, like, depending on the file creations, but again, you're still dealing with agents, and it's a thing. Maybe a hook can trigger a couple of different things, and that would be a way to do it. So yeah. Aishwarya is asking, facing challenges using the Kiro ID in Mac, is this a known issue? I don't know. What kind of issues are you facing, my friend? Please do share with me. I would love to pass it on to the team or just support you. Haim says, I've recently experienced these new spec types. You're doing amazing work. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yes. I am a fan of these new spec types, especially when it comes to these kinds of things. Okay, this thing is still generating, it's doing stuff. Is the design doc? It's still empty, so nothing is happening. As you can see here, it's just done a bunch of stuff. And you may notice that there's a bunch of steering files, and these are like project-specific steering files, my own personal steering files, like Obsidian connections and whatnot. So there's a lot of happening here. But what is happening right now is it's generating this design doc on this side. So okay, Chaim, thank you so much. something iCloud, move the project, same thing. Okay, I don't know. Aishwarya, let us know what the actual issue is, and I can message the Kiro team right now if this is a thing. Oh, again, I run this on a Mac as well, so my other computer is a Mac, and I have no problem with it running it. So, but maybe a little bit more detail so we can potentially troubleshoot things. And would you look at that? Stuff is going on. Now, this is the actual design of this thing. So let's see how it's going to go and fix it. So this is the overview of the thing. Glossary, what's a bug condition? What's a property? What's preservation? Validate pattern name. It's a method in patterns. Create pattern. So it defines the bug condition in this case, right? So it defined the bug condition. Basically, it checks it, sure. Here's a formal specification. This is where you create something a little bit more. It looks like pseudocode, but it's like a formal specification. Like if bug condition, blah, blah, blah. Nice. Okay. Love it. See, this is a lot of the things that Kiro makes you produce a lot more predictable code, right? Like I personally sometimes struggle with coding assistants where they just kind of go wild and do stuff that I don't really know what's going on. This is what kind of gives me a little peace of mind. So a couple of examples here. There's preservation requirements as well, something related to the requirements in the past. Here's a hypothesized root cause. Overly restrictive character validation, that is fair. Missing file name sanitization, and I think this is the key thing. It's missing file name sanitization because there is no file name sanitization. Basically, if an LLM returns a file name that has spaces in it, it's just going to freak out and say, sorry, I can't do that. Display name versus file name conflation. Good, like it. Okay, correctness properties. Excellent. So we're getting into the properties here. And this is where whole property-based testing comes in. And if you haven't seen a lot about property-based testing, do check out the Kiro docs. There's a lot of content there on property-based testing. There's excellent blogs for you to read as well. It's a whole thing. Okay, so property one, bug condition, spaces accepted, file names. Okay, for any input where the pattern name contains spaces and it's otherwise valid, 1 to 100 characters, only alphanumeric square space dash underscore. The fix create pattern function shall accept the name, write it. So basically, this is creating a little property, and we're going to run property-based tests against this property, right? Property 2, preservation, non-space names unchanged. Input shell where the pattern names does not contain spaces, it should just be fine. So why is these things here? Because when we create property-based testing, we're going to have these property-based tests just throw stuff at it, just like 1,000 different file names with underscores at it and different types. And it should always be, the property should be preserved. The property should always, it should not be changed. I tried spinning up Kiro ID on my Mac. While I was able to get the job done, the overall experience was quite slow, and the movement of navigation with ID felt laggy and smooth. Oh, okay. I know there's a bunch of performance improvements happening on our end, but I don't think you should be facing that. So my guess here is maybe something. Do you maybe have some sort of like ID extensions enabled? Because it is a fork of open source code, so you could technically install extensions that could cause some sort of slowdowns, but in general, it shouldn't. So try the stuff that Chaim says, but I do think if it's a performance thing, could be something related to. I don't think it's a Kiro thing, if that makes sense. Unless you have a very old laptop, if you're running this on a 2014 Mac, maybe. Daniel says, I haven't used Kiro yet. It isn't directly connected coding assistant. Is it just a directly connected coding assistant that sees all the files? Yes, that is true, but that's also true for all coding assistants, I'll be honest. Like all of them just see this. What Kiro gives you is one of the key benefits of Kiro is spec-driven development. Instead of just kind of vibe coding through your code, just telling it what to make changes and kind of like instruction-led coding, spec-driven development creates these things that you see on screen: specifications, design documents, certain things like that. And then based off of these, it performs the changes with a lot more control. And you will see what I mean. So property-based testing, changes required. It actually tells what changes it should do. Like, it hasn't performed any changes. This is just its planning phase. Specific changes, adding this sanitized file name helper. Use the sanitized file name for file path. Perfect. Preserve original names and front matter. Good. Update success message. Excellent. It even has a testing strategy. See test cases. Excellent. Fix checking. It also will actually go ahead and check the fix. Perfect. Preservation checklist. It also has these things to kind of make sure that that we don't regress. Excellent. I'm okay with this. Property-based text. See, generate random valid pattern names with and without spaces, and verify that this thing accepts it. It should always accept those things with or without things, because it's going to go ahead and sanitize them at the end. So integration tests. Excellent. Okay, let's continue. Go ahead and generate tasks. Now it's going to go ahead and generate these tasks. So based off of these things, it's going to go ahead and generate the tasks based off of this design. Hey, Zoran, welcome. Hams has an M3 MacBook Pro. Yeah. Oh, okay. Slowness is not. So development is slow. So okay. So the development with Kiro is slow, and I'm gonna say something here. It's kind of meant to be slow. It's not. It shouldn't be like laggy or anything like that. The way you do stuff, like it took us 20 minutes to get this thing set up, like all of these documents generated, and that's kind of the whole point. It gives you a lot more control and a lot more overview what will happen. Vibe coding is fast because you tell it to do a thing and it just kind of goes and bursts through a thing. This is a lot more, let's say, token preservation, and it's a lot more. You're going to get a lot more certainty that what you asked it to do, it will actually produce it. I think the slowness isn't something we can avoid. In the background, there's interaction with the answer. Of course, I mean, again, the responses from an LLM, it's always bottlenecked by the actual LLM and the model in the back. I don't know. Like that could be a lot of things. But the UI itself, the application itself, should not be slow, right? So the process itself, it can be slow because it goes through things and talks to an LLM and, all kinds of things, depending on your code base. Like, if you have a massive code base and you ship your entire code base off to Kiro, yeah, it's going to be slightly slow. So, okay, we have tasks. So what has happened right now? It basically, you will see that the implementation plan is very interesting, right? First of all, it actually writes exploration tests. So it actually wants to confirm that the bug exists. So far, it hypothesized that it exists. It has looked at code. Sure, it can think that the bug is there, but it hasn't tested it. Right? It hasn't actually done anything. So it's going to go ahead and write these tests to ensure that the bug exists. So this test must fail, right? If it doesn't fail, it's going to tell me, hey, listen, doesn't work, right? So Mike Zoll says, I've been finding that using one very detailed markdown file is more efficient than having tasks. I don't know. I mean, yes and no. I've the thing with LLMs is that there's a lot of variability to that. Like I've seen people completely do it without any sort of markdown files, just as they say, raw dog it. But I think what happens here with tasks is that I can run these tasks individually. They run in their own independent context with everything here. So it gives me a little bit of more control of how this happens instead of just one-shotting things. And I think we all, as software developers, should be a little bit more intentional in the way we build things, right? While you can churn out features and stuff all day long, you should be a little bit more think about what you're doing. Yes. Yes, and that in the best possible way, my friend Mike Zolo. By the way, chat, I see both LinkedIn and Twitch and YouTube comments. You only see probably the comments coming from you, just so you know. Okay, task number 1, verify. Excellent. Task number 2, write preservation property test. This is basically creating property-based testing that we don't regress, right? And task number 3, fix the stuff. And there should be a verify. There it is. Okay, ensure all text pass. So let's actually go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do this, and we're going to kick off task 1 and have it happen. So as you can see here, task 1 kicked off. Brand new context. It includes all the context files. Sorry, all the steering documents, and it's going to go ahead and read the source code. It's going to be completely aware of the specs it has to do, all the tasks. So yes, I agree with the transport. Overall, the feels strong and promising tool. One thing that stood out to me is how it focuses on specification of an approach rather than jump. Yeah, that's again. Whenever I need to do something that's a little bit more serious, something that needs to go on prod, something that needs to face customers, I am feeling so much more comfortable by doing something with specs. From my experience, it was quite helpful creating structural requirements and everything. Yeah, I agree. Yep. And again, it's going to be slower than you just spinning up Kiro CLI or Claude Code or Codex and just telling it, do it. Of course, it's going to be slower because that's kind of how it works. What I'm saying, the application itself shouldn't be slow. Like the lagginess shouldn't exist, right? So, okay, so I see a bunch of stuff happening here. I just want to say it's performing a fix. It's making changes, and I'm gonna let it do this stuff as I chat to you, chat. So chat, I've seen somebody mention here. I think somebody mentioned Kiro CLI user. Haim and Aishwarya, have you tried Kiro CLI? Haim says, so I couldn't sleep for several days, and it wasn't because of the AI's ability to generate excellent code, it was an amazing implementation. Yeah, I think spec-driven development is fantastic. And I keep telling this to people, spec-driven development is nothing new. It's not something that was invented by Kiro. It's an old practice. However, like a lot of the development practices, it was just very painful to do. You had to write these spec sheets and docs and whatever. So it took a lot of human intervention. And it made sense, right? It makes sense to do some spec-driven development. However, it makes even more sense for an LLM to do it these days. So, yeah, you should check out Kiro CLI. I'm a huge fan of Kiro CLI. I use Kiro CLI a lot, and like it's even for things like if I do something like this, I have a little Kiro CLI helper that pops out here. This is my little daily assistant. It pops up in my whole thing, and I can just chat to it and do stuff. It's fantastic. Okay, it's running all of these things. All 3 bug conditions failed as expected. Excellent. I love that. Glorious. Okay, so conditions. This has been complete. Task 1 done. Prop test. Amazing. So it has actually confirmed that this is broken. Because I've done this in the past where I've told that I have a bug, and it says like, "Oh, yes, you have a bug," but then it actually went to run the test. It's like, actually, bro, you don't have a bug. So yeah, okay, excellent. So let's go ahead and task number 2. Let's try to fix this. Well, actually, preservation property test. As you can see, brand new context, brand new window. We're also saving on tokens. So let's go. Now it's gonna go again, write property tests like before, and these property tests are gonna basically run, and they are gonna they're gonna make sure that we don't regress in the future, right? So before we actually implement the fix, we want to run the preservation property test. So all kinds of things. So it's happening. This should be relatively fast. There's an excellent. Okay. User workspace, cargo test. Don't cargo test it on the workspace, my friend. You know where you are. TMP observe. Interesting. It's creating a observe RS file. Okay. What is a TMP observe file? What did you do? What is that, my friend? I am actually quite interested to see what is this. Observe RS. Oh, observation script. Oh, sure. Okay, fine. Donna said, how does spec-driven development compare to non-spec-driven development? Would you say that's non-spec-driven development was the most popular before vibe coding? And these AI coding systems came out. I mean, here's the thing: spec-driven development is just a practice where you create, requirements and designs and tasks for yourself as a developer, right? Again, before the advent of coding assistants, this thing existed, and a lot of teams were implementing those practices, like test-driven development. That's also a type of software development practice. And then, but it's a lot of work. Like, again, you have to go and write these things, and sometimes it's fine. Like, when I would write software, I would write myself requirements docs just to make sure that's fine. But a lot of the times it was just a lot of work, so people would just not do it. So with coding assistants now, it's super easy because Kiro generates it for you, right? Kiro does it all for you. Excellent. Okay, cool. So that's done. Let's fix it. Actually, go ahead and run this fix. Let's see what happens. It's interesting. It seems to have done all of these things. I love it. Basically, all preservation tests passed on unfixed code, so this is fine, and they should, right? So it's absolutely 100% true, right? I wonder, having Kiro up as each process handles the development of another project. I assume there shouldn't be a problem with that. No, that it shouldn't be. No, you can absolutely do that. That it's not an issue. I think the problem is just token managed tokens. You may run out of tokens, but otherwise you should be pretty good. I see no issue with you running multiple instances of Kiro at once. So I think at once, especially for Kiro CLI, I had like 8 instances of Kiro CLI just chugging along. So sure, that's not a problem. Okay, now it's actually making fixes. Look at that. It's adding the sanitized file name thing here. You'll see that it's going to create a little function here. Sanitized file name. It's going to replace, basically it's just replacing a blank space with a lowercase with a dash, which is sure. Now, by the way, this is all Rust and an MCP server, but it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what thing you're using. I'm just using this as an example because I do prefer Rust. Okay, clean build. Excellent. Now I was going to verify if the bug condition exploration test now passes. So it has an expected behavior test. So it's going to try to basically throw broken stuff at it and see if it fixes it. So let's see. Now, ultimately, this should be an easy fix. I haven't asked it to do an incredibly complex bug. Zoran saying you can use Kiro CLI. Yeah, exactly. You have sub agents that can run in parallel. I think that's really, really powerful. When using Kiro ID, we actually have only one AI agent. Yes, that is correct. Okay, I think the bug verifies. Bug condition exploration verifies. Let's see the preservation tests. Perfect. I think we fixed it, my friends. Well, I mean, Kiro fixed it. Look at that. Done. Task 3 is done. So, and lastly, just do a checkpoint. Ensure all tests pass. Run cargo test to verify all tests pass. And I'll be honest, once this is done, I'm going to go and ship it to my Git repo, and it's going to be done. And I'll be like, using multiple agents is not always necessary. It's really cool. It's impressive. It's all that stuff, fun stuff. But like, you don't have to have like 10 agents doing stuff. Like, sure. Like, again, depending what you're doing. I love having sub agents, and Zoran mentioned, because sub agents are excellent because you can have specialized agents for specialist things, and you can, again, economize a little bit on the token usage and whatnot. Okay, this is fine. So let me go to my application here. I think git diff. Okay, a bunch of stuff happened here. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff here. So if I do cargo test, right, all my stuff is working. Perfect. I mean, that's great, right? Excellent. So actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna tell it to create a little code pattern, and I don't know if it's probably not going to fail, but let's do something like this. There is a sanitize input function that cleans up file names. Can you take that as a coding pattern and store it? So I'm gonna use the tool we fixed on the tool we fixed. So let's see how this works out. Sure, it searches the stuff. Perfect. Finds the sanitized file name. Excellent. cool. Now, by the way, this thing that you're seeing right now, this is Kiro CLI, and Kiro CLI is running LSPs. LSP, language server processor, to figure this out. Great pattern, sanitize file name. Now, I don't know if it made a mistake and it fixed it. It's kind of hard to determine this because without running tests. But there you go. Save the sanitized file name. Function itself is that simple. Spaces to hyphens, lowercase. Excellent. So if I go to patterns now, and if I do sanitize file names, you will see this is it. As simple as it gets. But we fixed it. Huzzah! Before we move on, I'm going to go ahead and get status, get add. Actually, I'm going to I'm gonna exclude Kiro and VS Code from this. I'm gonna do Kiro VS Code. Okay. Status get add dot get commit. Let's see what did we do? Fixed file names with spaces. Thanks, Kiro. Get push origin main. Glorious. Excellent. Okay, so now I want to talk about something else. Well, we're still going to remain inside of this world, but we're gonna change it up slightly because there's another type of spec. There's another type of thing we can implement, and this is something called a design first workflow. So traditionally, the way Kiro operates is you tell it what feature to implement, like saying, like, I want this to be a web interface. Sure. And it goes ahead and figures out what to use and how to use it and all those things. With design first workflows, it kind of puts the ball a little bit in your court. It basically gives you the ability to define certain requirements up front. I'll show an example. So basically, you tell it what kind of like technical constraints you want to use, what kind of opinions you may have, and maybe you even have an existing design. So what we're going to do here is, instead of me showing you all these patterns through like just Vim, what if we could create a TUI application that shows us this, right? A little terminal user interface. And I've built terminal user interfaces in the past. If I go to TUI, I have a thing here, cargo run. Let's see. Look, this is a TUI interface, right? It's a very nice and cool and whatnot, right? What if I had something like this, but for the patterns? So I can do that. And I'm going to actually tell Kiro to follow those patterns when building stuff. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to open up Kiro here inside of this TUI application. Generate a design prompt for this application. How I would explain the the design choices, technical choices behind this TUI app to an LLM. So I'm actually going to use Kiro to explain how this application works, or let's say a little prompt of how it works. And I'm going to pass that into Kiro. So let Kiro do this. It's a super simple application. It shouldn't be too much. Sure, read it. Hello. My cat is here. So, hello. How are you doing? I think this is too much. I think this is too much information here. Chaim, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Yes. Make sure to join us here next time as well. We are doing these live streams here. So let's see. Architecture. Make this simpler. What are the libraries we are using, and how are we reading stuff off disk? I just want to make it simple. This would be too much, to be honest, to Kiro, because there's a lot of stuff here. So libraries, data loading, make the you know what, this is fine. I'm going to copy this, and we're going to go into Kiro. So I'm going to paste this in here, but I'm going to tell it terminal app that displays the browsable list of coding patterns. Based off this MCP server. Built as a, I will remove this. The patterns are stored on disk as markdown files, right? So I give it a little bit more of details of how these things are going to be implemented. So again, which libraries I want to use, Ratatouille, cross terms, Serde, all of these like technical elements of this application. Yes, I know. We're talking about rats and everything, but you need to let me do stuff. The patterns are shown on disk and the markdown files. What is the directory of patterns? Let me see. It is patterns. It's here. Okay. Copy this link. Here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hit a spec. So what you're going to notice here is this is not a bug fix spec. It's going to be something else. Rows. I know, but I need to. Listen, chat is here, and I need to speak to chat. Okay. Are you the official Kiro mascot? Are you going to be the Kiro cat? I'm going to have to take it down. There you go there. Go. I know. Okay, so it's a feature. It is a feature. Absolutely is a feature. Submit the answer. However, now that it is a feature, it's probably going to go, and this is all probable, it's just guessing, but it's going to go ahead and start to, it's going to determine that this is a design first thing. See, technical design. It actually started with requirements, but no, I have a technical design. I have a high-level design and low-level design. Just a high-level design is fine. There you go. Submit an answer. Okay. Now, this would be good if I had like design documents or something like that, like from a previous example, right? I may actually use the ones that I've seen in the past. It's going to go and read these things. So let's see how this happens. Indeed, Michael, is it? Please, hey, Dirk, hey, yes, it is doing it live. Absolutely doing it live. We are doing stuff live on stream, and that's the funnest way to do it. Imagine if I had a pre-baked demo; it wouldn't be fun. So. But yes, slightly slower, a slower pace, but that's okay. That's okay. I haven't used design first specs as much as I've been using Bugfix and just your typical feature specs. So this is also sometimes new to me. So, but it is creating a design. I love it. Okay. Let's see what's going to happen. Hi. What is it? You wish you could live code with a cat next to you. It's always great. Isn't it great? I really wish that she would just like lie here. Rose. Ružice. She would just chill here, but she loves to be give the headbutts. Just butt your head against my head. So. And by the way, this ask is something I've actually been meaning to implement into this application, because anytime I want to like manually explore these patterns, I just open them up with Vim, which is fine, right? But like it would be really cool to have a little TUI application. And I do wonder if I can actually just point it to an existing application, tell it, here's an example of what I want it to look like. I feel like it could work that way. So, okay. Mermaid graphs. Hot diggity damn. Look at that. Okay. Components, pattern loader. So like it does your typical design and everything here. If I opened up this in preview, you will actually see some mermaid stuff, reading application handlers, patterns, TUI, render frames. All of these things are absolutely correct. So what if let me do this. I'm gonna actually give it this path. I'm gonna say, I've been working on an example. Follow that for the look and feel of it. So maybe a little bit more, slightly change here, right? Hey, Vladimir, yeah, Ružica, yeah, yes, the Ružica. Rose the cat, or Ružica in Serbian. Yes. Uh, she is. You can't access. Oh, could you share the relevant source? Oh my God, really? You can't access it? Of course you can. Of course you can access it. Just cat the files. Cat. I'm sure Kiro can access it, right? Good call. Let me grab those files. See, like, sometimes with LLMs, I have a thing where they're like, I can't do that. And you just have to say, of course you can do that. And of course they can do that. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, of course you can cat these files. Just cat all of it. Why not? There you go. It may not read it, but you can cat it. Okay. It's a simple application, so it should be perfectly fine to do it. My only question is, can we do it in the next 14 minutes? I got the okay. It has the reference GUI. I think it's gonna update the design document based off of that, which is great. Hopefully, by the end of this live stream, we're gonna have something to look at, and not just catting files. Daniel says the next feature in Kiro should be called Ghost Cat. I mean, hey, if I'll speak to Rose if she wants to give her her likeness to it. I'm happy. Rose would probably be delighted. By the way, I'm running this thing, Kiro, on the Kiro Pro plan, which is like 1,000 credits. On a good day, I actually was able to like burn through like most of the credits in a single day when I was doing a lot of things. But I actually do manage to keep like well within the pro limits per month for most of the stuff I do, and that may stay up around what I do and how much I code. But I try to be economical when it comes to these things, because there's also, you can choose different models. There's like, Minimaxes and DeepSeeks and whatnot. So you can be a little bit more careful with your token economics. Okay, editing design stuff. See, like this is the new. If you remember the XKCD comic about it's compiling, this is the new. Oh, it's generating specs. You just wait here and do stuff. So it's fantastic. Okay, it's doing all kinds of things, editing the design documents. I can't wait for this thing to be over. But as you can see, mermaid diagrams, and I'm probably going to change a couple of things here because I told it to do a couple of things. But it actually read the files I gave it, like the example of the example documents patterns that I used. So that's pretty good. See, pattern loaders, it does all of these things. Oh my, and Opus is slow today. I feel like this is not as fast as it can get. Interesting. I've been using like the Kimi models at times, and Kimi models are so fast. Oh my god, like 200 tokens a second. It's so like, and when you go from like a Kimi model to a non-Kimi model, you're like, oh, okay. As you can see here, okay, so it got the way this looks, right? This is how my little command line application looks, my little learning command line application. This is how it actually looks. So which is fantastic because it actually just did it, which is great. Okay. Come on, Kiro. Tell me you're done. Tell me you're done, my friend. And then we'll move on. We should one day just do a live stream where we ask Kiro the most insane things. Just like program something in a language or a framework that nobody has been using in a long time. That would be fun. Which language should we choose? What should we do? Like, if I was to ask Hero to build a command line application that stores or reads files off something, I don't know, which language should we use? What would be fun? And mind you, I have books and computers that could probably run those things, unless it's something very, very esoteric. Okay, design doc is updated. Let's go. Let's do the requirements, general requirements, and let's see what the requirements will be. I do wonder how it's going to go ahead and generate these requirements. It is actually a big design doc, so I don't know if this is going to actually be able to implement this. Like, at least not in the next 9 minutes. But let's see. I am excited to see it. COBOL says, Derek says COBOL. Yeah, I think COBOL could work. COBOL, COBOL programmers drive all the Ferraris. Do I have a COBOL book? I wonder. You don't see on this side, I have a bunch of like old software. You don't see it. Yes, there's a bunch of old software here next to me. COBOL is not one of them. But I do have. Let me show it to the chat. I have this. Ooh, can you even see this? Can chat see this? Not sure. Let me put myself to full screen. I have this. What is that? It is Fortran. This is slightly newer than COBOL. It's Fortran 80, so from 1980. But it's a Fortran for the Osborne computer. So if anybody in chat knows what the Osborne computer is, yeah, maybe something like that. Maybe do Fortran with the Osborne. That would be an exciting feature. Okay, we have stuff happening. The requirements doc is being generated. That's good. But again, defining a couple of stuff. What's the browser? What's the pattern loader? What is the app? What's the nav panels? All of these things, like, they're part of an application. There's the requirements here. We see the requirements are actually happening right now, right? We had a design doc, and now based off of that design doc, it is generating those requirements. In your typical spec, it's the other way around. It's the requirements and then the design doc. So we have all of these things happening, acceptance criteria, blah, 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 blah. It's generating properties based off of these things, but it has a lot of requirements, 6 requirements, 7, 8, 9 requirements. And now it's going to generate the properties based off of these things. So again, back to property-based testing, it's going to be able to use property-based tests on this to actually, verify that this thing is doing what it needs to do. So, but yeah. It's interesting to do like Curo live streams like this, because like there's a lot of, I don't want to call it dead air, but there's a lot of dead air. Like I'm just kind of like waiting for Curo to finish stuff. And I used to do live coding live stream, like artisanal live coding live streams, which I actually coded and did things and stuff. But and that was kind of at least easier to fill the void. But now I have to just talk to you about Fortran 80 and COBOL and Osborne computers and the graphics primer for the IBM PC. If you want to learn how to draw circles in BASIC. I don't know. But it is fun to see this in action, because I'm actually selfishly, I'm building this feature because I need this feature, and I just happen to build it on a live stream as we're talking right now. So I hope you get something out of it, if anything. Derek, are you a Curo user? Mike said, if you have time to quickly explain skills in Curo, I can't figure it out. I've been using it since the summer. Okay, skills. Skills are basically additional context that your agent can load when it needs to. So in my example here, I have all of these steering files. And steering files are basically just markdown files that define how certain context, like how I like my Curo projects, how I like my Rust, how I like to do any coding. Right? It's just like big context files that get loaded inside of Curo every time it runs. Skills, on the other hand, are context files that get loaded on demand. So, for example, you create a skill for front-end development, and a skill is just a collection of different Markdown files, right? Like, here's how you use Tailwind, here's how you use HTMX, and here's how I prefer my visuals, the colors I like to use. So imagine a bunch of different context files that explain your approach to front-end development. When I'm building something like this, I don't need that skill. And loading those files inside of context is kind of useless, right? It just overfills the context. Well, so skills. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna generate a task list, and as it's doing, I'm gonna explain to you. So with Kiro, you go to the .kiro directory, and there is a skills directory. This is where your skills go, right? If you see content voice here, there's a skill there, right? It's literally just there. And it works, basically, Kiro will load these things when it needs to, right? It's going to load this skill. That's it, right? Compared to powers are very similar. I'll give you that. It is they smell alike. However, powers give you more than just Markdown. Powers give you MCP servers when they need to. For example, the Postman thing has a Postman MCP server along with some additional skills, right? So that is the difference. Power is like a batteries included type of deal, while a skill is just a collection of Markdown files that get loaded on demand when you need to do it. Does that make sense, Mike Zolo? And like, here's the thing, skills and powers and all of these things are kind of evolving. And what I say right now may not be true in 6 months, because the way people change their approach to software development with coding assistants is just shenanigans. We've been talking about Ralph Wiggum and a bunch of different approaches, but no longer do we talk about that. And it's been all over the place. So at this moment in time, March 11th, 2026, skills are death, and skills make sense. Maybe in the future, where context is cheap and you have 1 billion tokens in a context, that wouldn't matter. You can just load whatever you want. But as it stands right now, skills can be very useful, especially if you build a library of skills. And I think there's this skills.sh, right, where you can get a bunch of different is it not? It's not skill.sh. It's skills.sh. There you go. Right. These are some certain skills, for example, here from Vercel and whatnot. So there you go. Alrighty. And I'm being told how to unlock Opus 4.6 in Kiro. Well, I think 4.6 is required. You need to be on a paid plan to have 4.6, just so you know. So a free plan does not have 4.6 there. So yes. Skills can package executable. There you go. Yes, you can do that as well. You can package stuff in there as well. So thank you, Dirk. Okay, I have a minute left. I was just being told by the folks. Stuff is happening here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and tell it to ship it all. So there needs to be a run button here. Is there no run button? Okay. Run them all. Run them all. Okay. So because I have to go in a minute, I'm going to invite you all to go ahead and follow me on socials. If you've searched this name on LinkedIn, GitHub, Blue Sky, whatever, MySpace, you should follow me and you should check it out. I'm going to be sharing the repo of this code and when it's done. When it's done. So definitely. Doug saying, will autonomous agents be available soon? by autonomous. Oh, well, there's a feature coming. I don't know what you're talking about. What autonomous agent are you specifically talking about here? Are you inside of the Kiro CLI? There is sub agents in the Kiro CLI where you can have an agent invoke other agents in parallel, if that's what you're talking about. Or oh, you mean KAA? Okay, it's still in preview, so please stay tuned. I'm sorry. Yes, that thing. It's still in preview. Please stand by. So thank you for showing interest in that. I do appreciate it. Alessandro is saying, using Kiro CLI, I have Vercel React best practices skill. Yeah. What is the reason it doesn't load automatically? If I see React best practices in the prompt, I have to specifically tell it to load the skill. It should be able to load it automatically. What you could potentially massage it is in its system prompt, it's like a agent.md or something like that. For that specific agent, you can tell it that it should load skills when it needs to. It's always kind of a little finicky thing because the LLM needs to choose to run load skills, and if it just doesn't, it doesn't, right? So I get it. So my suggestion to you is that depending on the model, you may want to give it a little bit more of an instruction on how to do all of these things. Okay, friends, I have to go now. We're out of time. That thing is running. So if you're not, drop me a follow, and I'll be sharing this later on today once this is finished, going through all of the stuff, and I'll show you a little screenshot of my little patterns. How much token use for Claude 4.6? You mean the pricing? It's 2.2, 2 times 2 credits. That is the thing. So there you go. Okay, friends. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and hide this thing right now. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Hope you got something out of it, and thank you, chat. I do love chat being active. It's the reason I do these live streams. I'll see you next time, where I will have some guests on the next stream. So please do make sure to give Kiro the follow, subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Twitch as well. Thank you once again. I'll catch you all next time. Bye.